How to save 10 lakhs fast. Your first 10 lakhs can be life-changing, but most people overcomplicate it. The truth is, you don't really need complex strategies or extreme sacrifices. You just need the right approach. And today, I'm going to share with you 8 practical strategies to help you reach your first 10 lakhs faster than you thought it was possible. Let's go. Number 1, break down the 10 lakh goal into smaller amounts. Now, let's be honest, when we think about 10 lakhs and all those zeros, it can feel very overwhelming. Especially if you're not close to that amount, it may even seem impossible. But the trick is not to focus on that big number. Instead, focus on what is within your control. So how much can you save every month or even every day? For example, to save 10 lakhs in 2 years, you need to save 41,667 rupees per month or 1,370 rupees per day. To save 10 lakhs in 1 year, you'd have to save about 83,000 rupees per month or 2,740 rupees per day. Over 3 years, the monthly saving required is about 27,700. Now, doesn't that feel more doable? Small, achievable targets make big goals feel manageable and help you build momentum over time. So instead of stressing about that end goal of 10 lakhs, focus on hitting your monthly savings mark. In fact, let me share with you a calculator that will also account for growth of your money if you invest, because you'd be investing that money somewhere, right, where the money would be growing. So let's put in the amount that we want, which is 10 lakhs. And we'll also go through multiple scenarios. So let's say you need that in 2 years. You want to get there in 2 years. Let's keep inflation 0 for now. In that case, let's say you want to invest in a place where the money grows by 7%. Why 7%? Because 2 years is a very short window. You don't want to risk that money in the stock market. So you would invest in bond funds, maybe even FDs or even arbitrage funds, right? So 7% is a reasonable growth rate to assume. And in that case, you'd have to save 38,713 rupees, right? If it was kept in a place where there would be no growth, that would be 41,667. So you right away notice a small growth rate can impact how much you have to save. Let's say you already invested some money and you are now accounting for that as well. Let's say that is 2 lakhs. We'll enter that here. Let's say even that is growing at 7%. And in that case, you will notice that the amount that you need to now invest every month has again dropped to under 30,000 rupees. Now, if you want to get there in 3 years, then you have to save 18,798. You can play around this calculator so you can figure out how much money you need to invest every month depending on your situation. The link to this calculator is in the description. You can download it for free. If you want to apply what I share here on YouTube to your own life and investing, check out my program, The Complete Guide to Mutual Fund Investing. It has all my years of experience of being licensed in Indian financial services since 2015. In it, I've covered topics like how you can select mutual funds to invest in, how to build your mutual fund portfolio, a much deeper dive than this particular video, what is an SWP and how to plan for your various goals, among other topics as well. The guide also has Excel tools like this one, where you just enter the goal that you have, the money that you require for it, and it automatically tells you, factoring in inflation, how much you need to invest per month from now onwards and which mutual funds to go for to save for that goal. Once you sign up for the guide, you'll also be part of our monthly live Q&A sessions where I answer all your doubts. To check out the program, go to the first link in the description and the pinned comment. Now, you may wonder that all these monthly savings amounts are potentially large, which brings me to strategy number 2, which is rethinking your income. Morgan Housel, the author of The Psychology of Money, says that savings are not income minus expenses, but savings are income minus ego. A lot of the things that we buy stem from our ego. Just look around your room. How many items did you buy because you actually needed and wanted them? And how many were purchased just to feel good or match what you have to what others have? And that's the real reason most people are never able to build wealth. It's not because they don't earn enough. It's because they spend to impress rather than to grow. Yes, obviously earning more is helpful, but you can never keep up with spending all your money no matter how much you earn. Now, Morgan Housel has another beautiful line here which fits perfectly. It goes something like, spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. Now, the silent crore-patis and millionaires aren't usually the ones who are flaunting luxury. They're secure within themselves. They're the ones letting their bank balance do the talking. And believe me, there's a magical feeling to that quiet confidence that you feel knowing that you have a certain level of stability in your life. Number 3 is give your goal of 10 lakhs or any other amount an emotional label. A lot of people struggle to save because they feel their goals are too abstract. Saying I want to have money just lacks emotional weight. But when you rename your goal based on what it truly means to you, it becomes personal and powerful. So instead of saying I want to save money, call it your dream home fund or your retirement freedom fund or your parents' care fund. Now, why does this work? Because money itself isn't motivating. It's what money can do that drives action. Attaching a deep emotional meaning to your savings goal creates a stronger sense of purpose. It's no longer just numbers, it's your future security, your dream home, and your family's well-being. And there's actual science behind this as well. I'm not just making this up. Research tells us that labeling our emotions helps us regulate them by engaging the prefrontal cortex and dampening activity in the amygdala. So by naming your savings goal, you're not just saving money, you're using emotional regulation to stay motivated. Think about it. When a goal is emotionally meaningful, you're far less likely to dip into those savings for some random expense. Every time you're tempted to splurge, reminding yourself that it's for the care of your parents makes it easier to say no to that spend. Then strategy number 4 is the bad popcorn technique. Stay with me, I'll tell you what it is. In one study, people ate more popcorn when given larger buckets of popcorn, regardless of whether the popcorn was fresh or stale. And this shows that larger portions of whatever it is that you're getting lead to greater consumption. This same principle can apply to money. So if you have more money to spend, you will most likely spend it. So withdraw a fixed limited amount of cash weekly, for example, let's say 5,000 rupees, and challenge yourself to survive on it. When you physically see less cash, your brain automatically adjusts your spending habits, preventing overspending. Now you may wonder why I specifically said cash when we are living in the world of credit cards and UPI payments, and there's a reason for it. Spending in cash can be more difficult. This is proven from a Carnegie Mellon University study that found that spending cash activates pain receptors in the brain, making people less likely to overspend compared to using credit cards or debit cards. So a large part of the amount that you keep aside for your monthly or weekly expenses can be in the form of cash, as you can dial back the years. Once it's gone, there is no topping up. The tangible loss of cash makes spending feel more significant, leading to more mindful financial choices. Now, this also ties in to Parkinson's law, which states that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. We have all been guilty of this. We keep doing something right till the very end of that deadline. And if you think about it, we finish that task usually in, let's say, a couple of days, even when we had 10 days available. And the quality of that task, even if you finish it in 2 days, as opposed to taking the whole 10 days, is usually very similar. Now, the same principle of Parkinson's law applies to money as well. Spending expands to match the income available. If you have more, you naturally spend more. Many people believe that they'll start saving when they earn more money. But Parkinson's law shows that expenses tend to rise with income, preventing savings from ever truly growing. Now, to overcome this, intentionally create a gap between earnings and expenses by setting strict spending limits. Now, I'm not against spending money or doing things that you love. It's just you have to be conscious when you're spending money. And one way to do this brings me to strategy number 5, which is to automate your investments and having a loan EMI mentality. What do I mean by this? Treat your monthly SIP investments like your loan EMIs. Now, you will move mountains to pay your EMI on time, won't you? Do the same thing, right? Do the same thing for your monthly SIPs. Just like the loan amount gets auto-deducted every month, set up auto debits for your investments through SIPs so they get deducted automatically. And make sure your SIP date of when that money gets auto-debited is within 1 or 2 days of you getting your salary, because you never want to see that big amount in your bank account because you're more likely to spend it then. If you can commit to a loan EMI, you can definitely commit to investing. Automating your investments through an SIP removes decision fatigue and ensures financial discipline. Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein's nudge theory shows that people make lazier financial decisions when defaults are preset for them. So when you set up your recurring SIP, make it difficult for you to stop it by perhaps even deleting the investment app from your phone. When the default action is to save, you're less likely to break that habit, ensuring consistent investments. Most people struggle to save because they rely on willpower. They just think that when the money comes to their account, they will invest it. But remember, willpower is finite. And it especially runs out when you're tired, busy, or distracted. The best way to avoid this, remove the choice altogether by again automating your investments. I'm talking about automating a lot because remember, in investing, what does not get automated does not get done. Then strategy number 6 is the future value rule. Before spending money, consider what it could be worth in the future if it were invested. This simple shift in mindset can change the way you handle money and make long-term wealth building much easier. Let me share an example. 1 lakh invested today would grow to 3.1 lakhs in 10 years at a 12% annual return. Over 20 years, that would balloon to, wait for it, 9.6 lakhs. And you can also work the same calculation out with monthly spending and having a SIP of the same amount. To make this calculation even simpler, here's a quick multiplier grid to help you understand how much your investments can grow over time at a 12% annual rate if you instead invest that amount instead of spending it. All the value that you see here is called opportunity cost. The real cost of spending money today is not just the amount that you actually spend, not the amount that exits your bank account, but what that money could have become if you had invested it. So next time you're making any big purchase, use the future value grid that I have shared with you to see what that amount could be worth if invested. Once again, you can download it for free using the link in the description. This very small mental exercise makes it easier to say no to unnecessary spending and prioritize wealth building instead. Then strategy number 7 is the 24-hour rule for spending. Before making any purchase above 1000 rupees, and I'm using 1000 just as an example, you can either lower it or increase it. Wait for 24 hours before pressing the buy button. This is because you don't want to buy anything impulsively, which is way more common than you may think. In fact, 40% of all money spent on e-commerce platforms is attributed to impulse purchases. If that didn't shock you, 72% of online shoppers have impulsively bought an item due to an advertised discount. So by waiting for 24 hours, your brain has time to reassess if it's a want or a need. And also, the dopamine rush associated with spending fades after some time, reducing unnecessary purchases. To take this a step further, try executing the 30-day no spend challenge. For 30 days, buy only essentials, that is groceries, rent and utilities. Don't buy new clothes, new gadgets, new entertainment subscriptions, or even go out eating, or maybe you can do that a couple of times a month. Maintain at the same time a daily log of what you avoided buying and how much you saved. This challenge resets spending habits and makes you aware of unnecessary purchases that you may be making. And finally, number 8, the identity-based savings trick. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, explains that behavior change is far more sustainable when linked to identity rather than just goals. What do I mean by this? Or what does James Clear mean by this? Instead of saying, I need to save money, say, I am a person who never wastes money. Label yourself as a wealth builder or an investor. So you're making that your identity, and when you make that your identity, you're more likely to follow through with that habit. Now, whatever label it is that you're assigning to yourself, set it up as your phone wallpaper or even paste those words on your desk so they start getting imprinted in your mind. When saving becomes part of your identity, it feels more effortless rather than a struggle. You no longer fight against your old habits because you see yourself as someone who naturally prioritizes financial growth. And over time, this very again small mindset shift can transform how you handle money and accelerate your savings journey. If you enjoyed this video, then check this one out where I talk about how saving 10 lakhs changes everything. Or if you want something that is more action oriented, strategy oriented, then watch this video where I talk about how if I had to only invest in 3 mutual funds for the rest of my life, which those 3 would be and why. And I'll see you in the next one.